tradition this day and age to read any good news on the newspaper page. And love and tradition of the grand design, some people say is even harder to find.
All right, guys, ready to kick it off?
Ready.
That was a Super Bowl pun. How about those Niners?
Dave.
Hey, you guys could be a Cowboy fan and just be disappointed year round.
Early.
Then you don't get all excited.
We lose in the first round. I have time to rebound from it and get to enjoy the rest of the playoffs. And but hey, Niners did a great job. And,
2 fumbles.
Good Shanahan.
Couple fumbles.
Little Shanahan special on Sunday.
No, hey, as a Cowboy fan, just looking at the Niners, I wouldn't change a thing.
Hey, $60 million on the books next year for Dak.
Yeah.
That's a great... Oops, sorry about that.
We're stuck with Dak. We're stuck with McCarthy. And now we have Zimmer, who's 67 years old, going to run our defense. So it should be awesome.
No Jeet?
No Jeet. No Mark. No Jeet, no Mark. But instead, we have Matthew Brander.
Hey,
welcome. Matthew is a newly licensed agent, but has a long history in real estate. So welcome, man. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thank you guys for having me, by the way. So I came from a family of developers and real estate finance agents. So honestly, I'm just kind of in the field now, I guess, trying to learn for myself and see who the best fit for me to learn from is. So
what type of development has your family done previously?
So we do commercial, residential real estate, ground up. We do remodels, renovations, pretty much anything to do with the properties, I guess. So
and your mom was an agent on the loan side for about 25 years.
Yeah, she did finance for 25 years and real estate for 15. Wow. She realized that the lending side was better for her.
Huh,
so
good stuff. And then your dad's been developing since you were born, before you were born.
Yeah. Before, the house we live in right now, he built it ground up, so it was like his big dream home.
Now, didn't I hear somewhere you guys actually had a home that caught fire?
That's
right?
the one. So we rebuilt it.
Okay. So talk about that a little bit. So how long ago was that?
I'm surprised you guys actually know about that. But I want to say we were 11 years old, me and my twin brother. We were on a trip in Hawaii, and the house did catch fire while we were gone. When we got back home, we just realized that my uncles, my dad's brother, went to the house and saw that, hey, this is a problem. Like, it caught flames, right? So what are we going to do about this? Instead of just figuring out a plan how to run away from that, my dad just tore down the whole property and then rebuilt it up the same way, just to
make it look the same.
Similar, yeah. So it had a pool indoors and outdoors. Now it doesn't. It had an elevator. Doesn't have it anymore. It is 3 stories still, so it's
gotcha.
Cool home.
Oh, good stuff. So it was about 11, 12 years ago that happened?
Yeah, a while ago. Wow. Yeah.
It's crazy. Aaron had a house that recently caught fire.
Aaron did have a house that caught fire. He sold it, and then it caught fire.
No, they did weird work to it after I sold it, and then I got a call from the fire captain of Mr. Fire. Whatever that chief.
Yeah, the chief.
And he said, I said, how'd you find me? He said, Zillow. I said, oh, great.
Yo, cool. You want to buy or sell a house?
So someone it looked like they had tapped into the panel. I don't know. I drove by the other day and it's still black.
Great for buyers to hear. The one thing I would just recommend never touching: electricity.
Don't do your own electricity.
No, don't do your own electricity.
Gotta get a licensed
electrician,
yeah.
Which we have. So if you guys need a licensed electrician, just reach out to us.
Yeah, fires are crazy. And not only does whatever catches fire go away, obviously, but all the black smoke that just taints the whole house.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's enough about that.
The captain of the fire.
The captain of the fire. I'm going to jump into the market stats. I mean, it's kind of more of the same, but 379 single-family homes on the market between, Gilroy to Palo Alto for the entire county, and pendings are still up. 492 properties pending, which means we only have about 3 weeks worth of inventory. So as quick as we are putting the homes on the market, they're getting sold. And kind of same thing for the condo market. 251 active and 250 pending.
The market is booming. It's going absolutely gangbusters at all price points.
Do you think we're going to see more inventory coming up here?
Yeah, we're going to see more inventory, but demand's still super high, right? I was just talking to Jeet last night. He placed an offer on a home in Newark, priced at $1.2 million, 20 offers, and the winning offer was $1.45 million.
Do you feel like we're back to the peak?
I think we are.
Where we were in 2021.
I think we're past it, right? I mean, I'm closing this week on my next door neighbor's house. They bought it at the absolute peak, 2021 in July, for $1,725. We sold that house for $1,821.
Perfect example. Perfect example. Because what do we do when our buyers are trying to buy a home and the market's trending upward this quick? You have to be willing to set new records.
Yep.
It's uncomfortable, but the appraisers know what's going on and how many offers you have. So based on market conditions, your house should theoretically appraise, but you have to be ready to play ball.
Yeah, absolutely. And by playing ball, it also means you oftentimes have to have the reserves to kick in if the property doesn't appraise.
Yeah. And what's interesting about that house that you just talked about is I feel like Santa Teresa in particular got hit super hard when we had that little correction in, what was that, 22?
End of 21, beginning of 22.
When things pivoted a little bit after it was just going crazy. But I would say Santa Teresa 95119 especially has just gone nuts again.
Well, yeah,
there's more coming too. I think David really started. You started, I think, a solid little.
Well, yeah, when
domino.
people saw, because I'm in 95139, right? So just south of Santa Teresa 119, and that was kind of a sleepy little pocket. Now it's popping.
I thought you were crazy for what you bought your house for.
And now look.
And now you look like a genius.
Exactly.
So what do you tell? I mean, for the viewers, what do you tell buyers when they say, "Oh, I'm overpaying for the home"?
Yes, we're all overpaying. It's Santa Clara County, it's Silicon Valley. We always overpay at the moment for the property, but like you said, Aaron, look back 3, 4, 5, 7 years and you look like a genius.
Yeah, if you want to only keep the house for 3 to 5 years right now, probably not the best time to buy.
Yeah.
Right? But there's money to be made.
Absolutely.
There's for sure money to be made. And rates stayed up this past week.
Mm-hmm.
Have we talked about that? I missed last podcast.
Rates are kind of steady right now. We still think they're going to drop between now and the end of the year.
So we're hovering around 6.
Inflation numbers came out today. They actually increased a little more than they were hoping they would. So, my guess is the next time the Fed meets, they'll probably keep them the same again, but we'll see.
Do you think that with there's a lot of 3-year ARMs coming up, do you think that is going to push inventory to raise? Do you think sellers are going to be more, with where interest rates are at on the come up? Do you think sellers are pretty?
It's going to force people to sell.
I haven't run across that yet.
And I'll tell you why.
We have a ton of people that took ARMs.
I'll tell you why. Because when you get in, and you're talking about ARM or adjustable rate mortgage, there are 3 years that are coming up, and pretty soon there'll be the 5s and then the 7s, right? And so to your point, they got it adjustable at 3%, and now it's going to adjust. Well, on an adjustable rate mortgage, there is a cap on the initial amount it can adjust. Okay. And it's usually about 1%. So if they had a mortgage at 3% and adjust, it's going to go to 4%. So it's inconvenient, but for most people, that's not going to force them to sell the home because their mortgage goes up by $600-800.
So just to clarify, mortgage rates are currently in the 6s. Their rate at 3% will not adjust to the 6%.
Not right away.
Okay.
Usually, it will recalculate either every 12 months or sometimes every 6 months
until it catches up to.
So how long?
To market rate.
So how long would they have in between the time that they refinance and then the time that it then gets corrected?
I don't understand the question.
So if it has a cap at 1%, so they go from a 3 to a 4. What's the time period between that 4% and then when it recorrects? You said between a 12-month period.
Yeah,
to
so
go
usually
back up.
12 months, and then it'll.
Oh, from that time initially.
So every 12 months, it's I'll kind of get in the weeds here, but an adjustable rate mortgage is based on margin plus index, right? So it's tied to whatever the index is, and so the index is volatile, it adjusts, and so at the time that the loan is recalculated, they have a base margin of probably 2.5%, and then whatever the index is, the index could be 2, 3, 4, 5, but there's always going to be a cap on how high it can adjust on each increment.
Nice.
So
David used to be a lender. I found out.
I was.
I was like, how do you know?
I was a lender for about 10 years.
So that, and again, like when you think about sellers should be comfortable buying back in at a 4 or 5% if that's where their cap is. So if you were to get an arm, I mean, you do have a choice. Well, you can keep your home.
Yeah.
And just have it refinanced. But I think they're comfortable enough, like you said. That's where the inventory is going to come from.
Here's a conversation that I've been having a lot recently, as opposed to creating inventory. If you're able to have any sort of cash flow or break even with the current place that you have and get the new place, you should not sell, generally speaking.
Not sell.
I would say if you can have a house in the Bay Area and have cash flow, keep it as long as you can. Because if you don't have a plan for the money, there's no point of selling.
I wrote an offer today. I just submitted before we got on the podcast. I'm writing an offer tomorrow. Both of those clients own property and they are not selling.
Yeah.
They're keeping it because they have a 30-year fixed at 3 or 4%, and it's cash flow neutral.
Will rates ever hit 3% again?
Nope.
Ever?
Nope. Not in our lifetime.
I remember seeing a 2% loan on a $2.5 million house just like 3 years ago.
I know.
And I was like, oh, for sure it's going to go to like 1.5 at some point.
No. We'll never.
And then it went to 8%.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing how quickly things turn, right? So, anyway, by the time this actually airs, I think it'll be past Valentine's Day, right? Because it'll probably... Right, Jacob? All right, so we'll...
Are we going big for Valentine's Day, boys?
I don't do anything small. Ooh.
I'm going to Tiburon to try out a new restaurant.
Where's Tiburon?
On the other side of San Francisco.
If you have to ask, you can't afford it.
Yeah.
Ben.
Where is Tiburon?
I'll be in Napa.
You'll be in Napa?
Yeah, I know where
All right.
Sausalito is. Never heard of old Tiburon.
All right.
You'll get there, buddy.
All right.
And I rented out a place so that my wife and I can get away from the house and have a good time.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
So-
Happy wife, happy life.
That's right. But my point is, there are a lot of single people out there that maybe didn't enjoy Valentine's Day, and we can cue the Beyonce music right now, all the single ladies, because I do have some good news for single women across the United States. Did you guys know that single women own more real estate than single men?
I did hear about that, but I didn't know any of the numbers.
All right.
This is throughout the nation.
I would love
Throughout
to.
the nation, right?
I believe that.
Yeah, so it's a couple interesting statistics. So 48 out of the 50 states, single women own more real estate than single men.
Good for them.
California is the number one state that has the most single women that own real estate, coming in at about almost 900,000 units.
What's the divorce rate?
Well,
For sure. Those are...
all right. You can edit that part out. and
most likely to lose your house in the state, California.
Yeah. And then, so there are 2 states where single men own more real estate than single
Let me
women.
guess.
Please do.
Is it really random?
It is really random, and the states are right next to each other.
Ooh, I was going to go with Alaska, but I'm going to go with West Virginia.
No.
North Dakota.
One of them.
I was
In
gonna say
South
no-
Dakota.
I was literally
South
gonna say
Dakota,
North
yeah.
and South.
No, in North Dakota and South Dakota, single men own more real estate than single women.
Come on, Dakotas.
I know. And, I think it's interesting. They said last year, 2023, when it won, about 19%. So about 1 in 5 transactions were from a single woman.
How does that make you feel? I mean, do you like that? Do you think it's cool?
I think it's cool. The information that I got from it was a lot of times it could be single mom, right? So they have more responsibility than potentially a single man. And then also they say that single women are less likely to take risks in terms of they're more financially responsible than their single male counterparts, and so they're able to save and purchase property. So I think it's great.
Yeah,
Sick.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
All right. Question for the new agent.
Yeah.
I have a house, I don't know, say Willow Glen. I've got a sidewalk, and I've got 2 nice trees on the other side of the sidewalk. Somebody comes along, trips, tree branch falls on them. Whose responsibility is it? Is it the city's for not maintaining the tree in the sidewalk, or is it the homeowner?
Is it okay? So across from the sidewalk.
Yeah, so house, sidewalk, tree, street. Tree branch falls while a kid's skateboarding, hits him in the head, knocks his tooth out.
Probably be the homeowner's fault, right?
I would say
I'm gonna agree.
That's a tricky question because the branch is actively falling. But I would say if the tree is here and it destroyed the sidewalk and he tripped on the sidewalk.
Oh, he tripped on the sidewalk, not the tree?
Well, in this case, the branch fell off and hit him in the face and he lost.
I don't think it matters whether there's a sidewalk or a branch. It's still the owner.
If you have a tree and it injures anyone, it is the homeowner's responsibility, and that is where the lawsuit's going to come from or go to.
So it is interesting, at least for state of California, specifically for San Jose. It is essentially 100% the homeowner's responsibility. So for the maintenance of the tree, maintenance of the sidewalk, and maintenance of the gutters, the curb and the gutter outside. But what's really interesting is most of this came about because there was a lawsuit, Williams versus Forrester, in 1989. Forrester trips, falls, sues the city of San Jose, and then sues the homeowner. So in that particular case, the city of San Jose was found at fault, homeowner was not. So then they appealed it, they changed the law, go all the way to 2001. There was a lady, kind of same thing happened. She got injured. It went all the way up to the California Supreme Court, and they ruled that is absolutely the homeowner's responsibility. And so now, if you go to the City of San Jose's website, as I did before the podcast, they put it in big, bold letters that the homeowner is absolutely responsible for the cost of maintenance and repairs. So if you have a tree next to a sidewalk and the roots are coming up, pushing the sidewalk up, the homeowner is responsible for repairing that sidewalk.
And something interesting is that, okay, this big, huge redwood tree makes you mad and you fix the sidewalk 5 times. You finally had enough. You want to remove the tree. San Jose also says...
You must pay to put another tree in.
San Jose tree ordinance.
Yeah, the San Jose tree ordinance. So not only do you have to get a permit to get that old tree removed, you have to have an arborist come out. All of that stuff. And redwoods are hard to get removed.
Yeah.
And Ben will talk about that in a minute. But yeah, and then you have to plant another tree.
So I got that one right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because David texted me that before. Hey, we're going to ask you this and that. So
You put me on blast.
It's interesting. And each city has, I know just from previous sales in Los Gatos and stuff, depending on what type of tree, you can't even cut it down. You got to go to get a permit to even cut down the tree unless it's deemed dying. We had to cut down the redwood tree in my backyard, over 100 feet tall.
100 feet tall.
Yeah.
That is a tall tree.
Cut it all down. Took multiple parts to cut it. Once we got it down to the certain part, the city gave my parents X amount of days to put in a new tree. They
even though it was in your backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, similar situation to us. That house you were talking about that burned down that we rebuilt. In the front yard, it's a bunch of trees, like big as the redwood tree he was talking about. When we took that one out, we had to replace it, so we put a little palm tree,
Right.
and we had a certain amount of time limit in order to get it done. But at least it's smaller.
Yeah,
so.
they came out and asked for photo proof and receipt proof of it. So you couldn't just take a photo and say, "Oh, this is my new tree in the backyard." Right. They want to see that you paid for it and stuck it in the ground. So now we have a little tree in our corner just slowly sprouting.
You can't even steal the tree.
Well, and that's what I don't understand. So what is the follow up on this? You plant this tree, you show them proof, and then what? What if you don't like the tree? You just pull it out. Are they going to come back in the future and say, "How's the tree looking?"
That is a judgment perspective, and you should proceed with caution.
Well, and it's in your backyard, so I'm less concerned about the backyard as I would be the front yard, where a city inspector could drive by. I have a friend who's an arborist, and I thought he told me if the diameter of the tree is greater than about 34 inches,
that's what I heard.
Yeah, then you have to get approval before you can remove it. So.
As I was told by an arborist, sometimes trees fall in the middle of the night.
That's right, when no one's looking.
I mean, we saw it with the storm, right? Or the past weather.
Yeah.
I've seen
if you want your tree to go,
that would have been a perfect time to get rid of that redwood.
Yeah,
that's why we got rid of it. Branches started falling down, and we had one branch had to have weighed 55, 60 pounds, landed right on top of our neighbor's backyard setup, and it was like, okay, that's
crazy.
Yeah.
I've got one more thing I want to talk about. Why do smart people choose bad agents?
Because they think...
What is defined by a bad agent?
I mean, come on, we all know bad agents.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a trick question.
No, and I'll tell you kind of the reasoning why.
I think because they think they are smarter and don't need they don't need an agent's help.
Yeah, they should choose a new agent.
There you go.
I think that people are programmed in our society when they see things so many times, they feel like they have power and know what they're doing, that they have more money than the other. There's so many commercials. They're a bigger company. It's the same thing with real estate. You see their sign in your mailbox so many times, you're the better agent. I think it's the perception of you see so many times, you have the money to keep marketing, you're the better agent.
All right.
Not necessarily it.
I've got a little different take. Okay. They polled a bunch of people across the United States on how many real estate agents do you know personally, right? Because there's 1.5 million real estate agents out there. Did you know that 50% of the people polled said that they knew at least 6 real estate agents? So I think why smart people pick bad agents a lot of times it's just because it's who they know, right? They know that friend at church or on.
But out of 6 agents, one of them has to be good.
Yeah,
you'd think.
And get this: 20% of the people polled knew at least 11 real estate agents personally, and this poll filtered out agents, lenders, title people. 50% of the people knew at least 6 real estate agents.
I've walked into a lot of appointments. They're like, well, you're the only one I know. So I'm like, oh.
Well, those are great appointments.
Those are good.
But yeah.
But the best marketed agent doesn't mean that they're the best agent.
Well, and that was my point. It's a perception game, smoke and mirrors. Not always the case, obviously, with some great agents in our industry, but there are agents who I feel like they have the money to spend on marketing and they'll just do it, whether they sell the home or not.
Yeah, but it really doesn't surprise me that half the people out there know 5 or 6 real estate agents.
That's a lot. I mean, you can name on average, like if I asked you to name toothpaste, like name toothpaste brands. Go.
Crest, Colgate.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Those are the only ones I buy.
Shoes?
I mean, come on, there's a million shoes.
Yeah, the shoes are
name
a little different.
the 5 shoe brands.
Nike. I mean, we can name the sports brands: Nike, Adidas, Under Armour,
Puma.
Converse.
Yeah.
What is that?
Vans.
That's not. You can't.
What's your point?
The point is, on average, people know about 5 to 6 brands.
Yeah, and 50% of people know 5 to 6 real estate agents.
If you're a real estate agent listening to this,
Uh-huh.
hopefully you're in their top 5.
Yeah.
Which brings you back to that question last week or 2 weeks ago of like all the agents that come in and then who end up staying and who end up leaving.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of agents, like you said, who know everyone. It doesn't mean that you're automatically going to get chosen by that seller. And I don't think as a buyer you should just go with the first person that you know. Interview a couple agents, find what best fits, and
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Gotta communicate well with each other.
Yeah, and definitely interview 2 or 3 agents, right? Because all agents are different. Different marketing styles, different communication styles. Some are single agents, some have a team, and so it's important that you're able to kind of figure out exactly what works right for you.
And if you're thinking about being an agent, this is even more reason why you need to go in with 2 feet. You can't go and just have another job and do this because again, you walk into a listing presentation, you walked in, they're taking notes on people who know's postcards on the ground. So it's like,
I always find it funny when we go to these listing presentations and they're using the notepad of the person of another agent. Well, and I'm like, have you called them? And they're like, no, haven't thought about it.
But these notepads are cool, and they send me a pumpkin pie recipe every year.
That's it.
That's really happening to you?
Oh yeah,
happens all the time.
Well, that or we'll be walking through the house and you'll see a realtor's magnet on the refrigerator with a calendar magnet. Oh, those are the best.
Yeah.
Ben, what do you got?
I have a buyer this week that asked a question: is it okay to talk to multiple lenders? Like, is it going to be beneficial for me? And it's like, for
the consumer, not
for the consumer.
Yeah.
Everyone's situation is obviously different, depending on your timeline, depending on the amount of money you have down. If you're a veteran, if you're not a veteran, if you're going 3.5%. Speaking to different lenders doesn't mean running credit with different lenders. You can speak to different lenders to learn about their programs, what they're offering, how they can benefit you. And that's the goal as a buyer. Who can benefit you the most with your monthly mortgage? So when the question comes up with, can I talk to 3 or 4 lenders? Absolutely. They're not going to all run your number, but at least hear them out, understand where they're coming from, and get an idea.
But it's also important to remember, don't chase lenders based on who has the lowest interest rate.
Yeah, because it's also the quality, right? I mean, are they going to reach back out? Are they really going to get you approved hella fast?
Yeah, and are they local, right? I mean, we talk about this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
When there's 20 offers on a property and that listing agent is going through all of those offers and they see who the lenders are on the other side of that offer, is it a Rocket Mortgage with a call center in the Midwest, or is it Michael Houghton, that out of Los Gatos? And so more often than not, good agents are going to identify who the lender is and have that conversation with them to validate the qualifications of the buyer. And it's a lot harder to do if you've got some generic pre-approval letter from some big lending corporation, that doesn't have a local
And I
face.
think as long as you're transparent about the fact that you're going to talk to more than one lender, as long as you tell them that, it's going to be way easier for you to navigate through.
Well, not only that, but they'll give you a very transparent answer immediately. Lenders know what other lending companies' programs are and what their rates are. They can initiate the conversation very quickly with, yeah, I can match that, or I know what they're doing. Let's talk about it. They're going to be honest. Lenders aren't going to put themselves in a situation to fail.
Right. Well, and the majority of consumers are all going to have the same type of loan. It's either going to be conventional or jumbo,
And
right?
you're going to refinance anyways.
Yeah, so it's important that you have a lender that can actually close on time more early, that is local, in my opinion, accessible, and is willing to go above and beyond, just like we are on the real estate side.
Yeah, I agree.
What you got, playa?
I would say, what is the number one thing that buyers are looking for in a home that sellers may not think that is important in their home?
That sellers overlook.
Sellers overlook when they're selling. What's yours?
Downstairs bedroom.
Downstairs bedroom.
I will say the smell of your home.
The smell. Okay.
Because we live in our house, right, day in, day out. Maybe you have pets, or maybe you cook a lot, cook certain types of foods. You get used to that smell, and I think a lot of times sellers overlook that.
I think the food one is important. I mean, well, the smell, right? 'Cause what you're cooking in the home.
Yeah, I mean,
So what do you think is the best smell? Fresh paint, cookies, neutral?
We usually put in like the air fresheners, the Glade plugins and stuff. Like if there is a strong odor, right? And I'm not talking about covering up a smell. Like you have a cigarette smoker that's been in there 10 years. We're not spraying Febreze, putting a plug in and not disclosing that. But yeah, I mean, we just like a nice, neutral, pleasant smell. Fresh paint sometimes, but I mean, even that can be put off a little bit right when you walk in the door and you're hit with those paint fumes. You get used to your own smell, your own surrounding. And so I think on the buyer's side, again, just like how we prep a home for sale, fresh, neutral, canvas, I think the same thing applies with odor and smell.
I would say the number one thing that gets overlooked that buyers are really excited about, and they don't even know that they're excited, but they like the way it feels, is the amount of natural sunlight that they get throughout the house. Super important.
I agree.
I think that's very important. There are homes, like Dave's home, for instance, Bayless, absolutely beautiful home. I feel like in some situations, people will denote the level of sunlight coming in. I think with some families, the reason I said downstairs bedroom is once the parents start getting involved and it's a multi-generational thing, it's like a hard line in the sand for some of these buyers.
Yeah, I think
no matter how much they like it.
Yeah, I think all those are valid points. I mean, natural sunlight's tough, right? Because some homes have it, some don't. I've seen homes, it's a little older style, but a lot of homes still have plantation shutters, which are super expensive, and they're big and clunky, but they also take away a lot of that natural sunlight. And there's been even times where we've had dark homes where we'll say, hey, you might want to put in a sunlight, right? Or add some recessed lighting or something too, because that sunlight and that brightness of a home matters.
What is your biggest pet peeve in a home, like a floor plan or something you see all the time, where you're like, oh God, I don't like that?
Narrow stairs and hallways.
Okay.
Because when you got to move furniture, it's a pain in the ass. It's something you don't always think about, and then when you get to move into the home and your stairway is this big and you're trying to move king size bed and dressers and stuff, it's problematic.
My biggest pet peeve, and I think it's just a personal thing for me, I don't like islands right next to the front door when you walk in. I don't like walking into your home and just immediately entering your kitchen. I think that is a big issue for clutter, because everyone has the thought of, I'm just going to put my keys down and
I
put
don't
some
know
down.
if I've seen that.
Yeah.
Like you walk in the island. So
Like you walk in the front door and your kitchen, like they remove that sidewall and your kitchen's just right there.
That's
still,
a
like,
big
facing-
thing in Santa Teresa, where
That's
people
what-
are stuck with what to do in that floor plan.
Yeah.
I think for me it would be high ceilings.
You don't like it.
No, I need to have high
You need to
ceilings
have,
because
yeah.
if
So
it's
low ceilings are the pet peeve.
yeah, the low ceilings it's bad because you kind of feel like you're sitting in like this box.
Yeah, and that's actually a great way to take a small floor plan and make it feel better, right?
Well, yeah, because even if
to
it's
raise
just
those
like
ceilings.
a small 2-story house, as long as like the first floor you got that high ceiling, they're gonna be loving the house, thinking that hey, you put us in this big luxury home.
Yep.
It's just kind of a big thing for me.
Yeah.
What about you?
Step downs.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like into the living room?
Well, his house has it.
I'll
but
say I
it's-
have a one step.
Yeah, but it's not. His at least makes sense. You know how
Like the ones near Lee High School have the massive
Like-
1.5 step down.
that one doesn't bother because at least it makes a little more sense. But it's just like these they're little tiny rooms. It's just one step.
Yeah.
We have a couple step downs in our house. I think it's like there's like the 2 hallways that enter a kitchen and like the living room,
Yeah,
and it's like
a
2
little
step
step
down.
down.
Yeah.
So a lot of those tri-level houses, like in Almaden, I just recently had clients fill it in, and it looks great. It makes the floor plan, I think, way more functional.
Yeah, just kind of flows.
Yeah,
What do you mean fill it in? Level it?
Yeah, you level
like
it.
so
Yeah.
everything. So it's
Yeah, you
called
frame it
floating.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah, you float
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, Jesus did it. Looks good.
How much? So I have a neighbor next to me who. So I guess my house has the same thing. It's a step down in both living rooms from the kitchen, and then they leveled the entire.
Yeah.
How much would that cost to just completely?
I am not a general contractor, so I don't want to speak on it.
Yeah.
But
Whoa. Okay. I could ask a developer for you guys.
We'll find out, Ben.
over
We'll get back to
under 10 grand.
you. Yeah.
Because that's got to be an expensive.
Well,
To level
when
a
you
floor?
No,
it's
'cause
not
you're
that.
not-
It's
you're
the
just
doors and
framing.
windows that you have.
Well,
to,
that's the other thing too, right?
Yeah.
But it does shrink your height from your ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Okay, that's an interesting question. I just thought. So if it shrinks your height, obviously it has to be above 8 feet. Then still.
It'll
Correct.
just be whatever you're
Yeah,
walking.
it'll be
at,
what it
right?
is.
But some people, what was the intention for a step down? To create a secondary like.
I'm
like
old. I'm not that old.
To
Like a
create
wall.
create like.
Why
the,
didn't you guys do that in 1960?
It's the
dude?
auditorium field. They feel like they're like sunken below.
Come on
ground.
in.
Yeah.
Step on
I
down.
have no idea. Good stuff. All right. Well, that's all we got, man. Our time's up.
Time's up.
This
Yeah.
is good.
Matt, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hey,
This was
congratulations on getting your license. Welcome aboard, Keller Williams. And we're looking forward to touring some of your family projects next
Yeah,
week.
of course. Let's do it.
Good stuff.
Awesome.
All right, guys.
You heard right.
You heard right. You heard right. All right, we're out.
The son of light.